Your offseason been?
It's been really good. This offseason, I went back home, was training in Dallas the whole time. We're really able to work on some of the things that I needed to focus on from last year, tackling, obviously footwork and stuff like that. So it was a really good offseason.
When were you cleared for like full activity?
At the end of the season, I was cleared. Yeah.
Coach O'Connell talked a lot about you having 3 concussions last year, and I think there were 2 in the regular season. Was that first one back in training camp? When did that first one happen?
I went into protocol when we had to replay the Bears, but I played that next week. So I was just in protocol. They were just being safe. That was when the whole Tua thing happened. So just being smart about it.
So you had 3 in-game concussions last year.
Yeah, I was in protocol, so they considered it one, but I was fine.
Gotcha.
So there was one that you didn't think you.
I didn't feel like it, but I mean, I understand. They want to be safe. Have a lot more life to live after football, so it was a smart thing to do.
With that said, there's never really been anything about how you prevent concussions. But is there anything that somebody has suggested that you try to do or work on or avoid or anything to address it?
Yeah, I've talked to my DB coach, and I even talked to Pat P last year. At the end of the season, just about how I tackle. My mindset when I tackle is always just be aggressive, right? But not every tackle has to be, a kill shot. So just keeping my head out of it. The fundamentals of how to tackle.
So that's the 2 that kind of really, that's called. I remember the one in Washington for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the other one.
Yeah.
Are you considering a new helmet?
Uh,
Supposedly some more improved helmets.
Yeah, I got a new helmet, and then I'm getting screened, I believe, next week for a custom helmet. So that should be really good and helpful for me.
When you talk about you need to get out of your head, when you're get out of your own way, right? So what is that process, and how do you see it differently or starting to?
Yeah, well, first I think it's about, my mindset when I'm going to tackle. Like I said, not every single tackle has to be, as hard as I can, right? So just being smart about that. But whenever I do go in to make a tackle, just being smart about keeping my head out of it, being intentional about it. So I've been working really hard on doing that.
You mentioned you have a lot of life to live after football. Is it nerve-wracking? When do you take a step back and if you get another what if or do you not go there?
I haven't really thought about it like that. I do know if I ever got to a point where I just felt like it was getting out of control, I would take a step back because life is more important. But I don't really worry about that too much, honestly.
Caleb, you mentioned the helmet. Have they talked about wearing a Q collar or anything like that to potentially prevent the next one too?
Yeah, so actually, towards the end of the season, I was wearing a Q collar. And I feel like it did help. So I'll probably be wearing it again this upcoming season.
You know which helmet what's the custom helmet? Is that for DBs or is it just for you in particular?
It's a Vices helmet.
Vices?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna wear it.
Just basically just molded to your head?
Yeah, I'm gonna get one molded to my head, the extra padding, so that'll be really good.
Just looking forward in year 2, how excited are you and how are you feeling about your opportunity here?
I'm really excited. I feel like I was able to show some flashes of what I can do last year, but I feel like this year's about taking over for sure. And I also see myself as a leader, I've usually been the quiet guy, but I feel like Pat P really set a good example of how to lead in your own way. Just getting all the other DBs involved and, even outside the facility, all of us getting together. Coach Flores has talked a lot about doing that, everybody coming together. So I feel like I'm stepping into that role and I can thrive in that role.
What's the vibe like just in your room with almost everybody's new and then you got Brian Flores too?
No, it's a really good vibe. I didn't know what to expect at first. A lot of people, like you said, left the room, but it's been really good. We've gelled fast. And like I said, Coach Flores has really emphasized all of us coming together because when we're on the field, we have to communicate together and, understand each other. So it's been really good so far.
He also has a very aggressive style that seems to play well into the way you think too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, most definitely. We're on the same page about that for sure.
You talked about learning a bunch of the positions on the back end. What I guess can you elaborate on that and just what's that like?
Yeah, you never know where you might end up on the field, so you have to be able to understand, corner, safety, the nickel spot. Just be versatile. And I like that because it expands you as a football player. And I feel that's how you make money in this league, so I'm all for it.
You mentioned on Twitter that you were going to take some time away, and I'm just curious what you did to get yourself right. I mean, was it just a matter of just getting away, or?
Yeah, getting off social media. As everybody knows, I'm so active on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, I love Twitter so much, but I had to take a step back because I had to realize, like, you know, a lot of people that I'm interacting with, you know, aren't in my shoes, right? So just make sure that I'm good first and foremost. Take a step back, be with my family, you know, my friends, people, my loved ones, and just, you know, figure out myself first. And I did that, and I feel really good now.
How did you cope with so many weeks at the end of last season, just essentially kind of being shut down and not? What'd you do?
It was tough. I mean, I would, you know, go to meetings and just being around the guys. I really wanted to make sure I didn't isolate myself, you know. And when I was in college, I had an injury, and I was out for the year. And you know, that was one of the things I had to focus on, not putting myself in a position where I wasn't speaking to anybody, I wasn't around my teammates and friends. So just really making sure that I was still involved in meetings, you know, because you can still learn when you're hurt, right? So that's what I did to make sure I was, you know, still involved and okay.
What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself in the last year?
Yeah, more than a football player, you know, my identity outside of that. And how much I mean to other people. You know, a lot of us focus so much on just the football aspect of life, right? But I'm more than that to people that I'm close with, right? So I had to realize my value outside of football.
You said Patrick
Social
Peterson.
media just kind of, just because you went from college to the NFL, just get more intense? Is that, I mean, more people involved with you?
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about it. I started out at the University of Tulsa. Like, you know, like, the smallest D1 school, so nobody really, you know, checking for us like that. But then when I got to Mizzou, it came a little bit more, and then obviously in the NFL is even more. And I really started that just with fan engagement. You know, I mean, these are people that are supporting us, so I love being involved with the fans. But it's all about monitoring that, so everything's good.
P2 taught you how to lead in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have like a preconceived notion, this is how I should lead in the NFL rather than that I should just be myself? How did that transition come about?
Yeah, I've always been a lead by example type of guy, but I always thought about it like the raw guys, you know, the one that's going to rally the troops, you know, be yelling. That's really not me. But Pat showed me that, you know, you can lead by example, but also taking the guys out to dinner, right, every week, or having an event at your house, or inviting guys over for film. Those different type of things that I wasn't really thinking about before that I want to add this year.
Kev, how helpful is it to have the familiarity of Durante as you guys position coach just in your second year?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. You have that, you know, comfortability, right? You know his style, and being able to adjust. Obviously, we're learning new defense too. Like, it helps a lot. I know how he teaches and stuff, so it's been very good.
Was it a relief to not go through the draft process again? And then what advice do you have for, you know, the class coming in next week?
Oh yeah, it was it was crazy because you know, you go through the draft process. I did the Senior Bowl, all that. So it was like one big run, right? So then this year you have, you know, your off season, you got a little bit of money in your pocket, you know. So it's like okay, like all right, now I'm feeling a little bit of life, right? But it was good. But the advice I would give to the guys coming in is, you know, stay the course. You know, during the season, most guys hit that rookie wall. But you just have to remember why you started, you know, and realize that it's gonna be okay. But yeah, this offseason was a lot different.
How much better do you understand football than when you first started last year now?
Oh, so much. And I really feel like it's because of this new defense that we're implementing. It's forcing us to have to learn a lot more, just football, grow our football IQ. So, like I said, it's going to help all of us in the long run. You know, each one of us is going to get paid, so it'll be good.
You mean just from understanding how kind of all the moving parts work, or how offenses and route combinations, like what do you mean this defense forces you to learn more?
Yeah, both sides, obviously, but defensively, just understanding, like, okay, like rushing, right? So if we have certain pressures, the ball's going to come out faster, or, like, depending on what type of stunt we have, where the ball is probably going to come out. Different stuff like that is going to help us in coverage and understanding what's really going on, you know, outside of what we have to do.
How's your relationship with, you talked about it a little bit, your relationship with social media changing. You've seen the way like the platforms are evolving and changing in ways, some good, some bad, but how are you kind of navigating all that now?
Yeah, I put less stock into social media. I think I was doing a lot of that before. And then it's like, with Twitter, like everybody can be verified now, and it's like, it's just a mess, you know? So that's another reason I'm just like, all right, it's whatever. You know, I take a step back. But just realizing like the social media world isn't real, right? And then some people that like are giving their opinions probably don't even know what they're talking about. So you just have to realize that. But yeah.
So you didn't pay for Twitter?
Oh, no, I wasn't doing that at all. Nah.
Anything else for Caleb? All right, thanks everybody.